Hi everyone. I don't know how I've been introduced, so hopefully you know a little bit about me already. One thing I've learned about Czech people is that you have impeccable manners and it takes a little while to break the ice. So hopefully the ice is already broken for me, because that's a funny difference between your culture and my culture. We are not so polite, but we're actually extremely friendly. So hopefully I make some friends here today. When I was 16, I was told at school to write a letter. And I decided that I wanted to write a letter to the council because up my street there was a park and they just installed some play equipment. But the mothers and the families had to sit on the ground, on the dirt, next to the play equipment because the chairs that were in the park were way too far from the play equipment for them to watch their young children, which the play equipment had been designed for. And it made a difference. There's a chair in the park up the street from my house now. And knowing that I could make a difference, I think, is the reason I'm here with you guys today, still doing what I'm doing. I thought for a while I'd become a singer. You know, we have these childhood dreams. And I went to a performing arts school, but it was when I did international environmental law and I heard about intergenerational equity that I was really struck by a desire to make a contribution to the world. And I'm doing my best to have a positive social impact. The reason I'm here is because I think you guys might feel a little bit the same. And I want to remind you that what you're doing is making a difference, that there's people like you all around the world, not just in Australia and here and in Europe, but all around the world. And I know you're going to hear from a few of them from other continents today who are also making a difference. But I also want to say that you're probably meeting a lot of people in your communities who want to make a difference too. And a big part of your role is to help them feel like they can. Because people don't just want to participate in government. They actually want to see the chair in the park. They want to know that the effort that they're contributing to community engagement and to their government when they have a say has a line of sight, not just to a decision maker, but to a social outcome. People want to contribute to community, not just to government. And smart governments are ready for that. Smart governments lead and they're ready to represent the community and they're ahead of the game. And that doesn't just mean picking up the new shiny technology or tool. It means they're ready to listen, to respond and to work with the people in their community who have something that they want to contribute. So, oh gosh, that's big. Okay, I'm going to go over here so I can actually see what I'm doing. We can't deny it. Democracy is being disrupted. It's scary. I'm scared. I am scared about this. But like I said, we are making a difference. Who in this room feels like they're working on democracy? Come on, put up your hand. Yeah. Okay. Who in this room is doing community engagement? Okay. Who's working with technology for community engagement? Yeah, all right. Well, I'm here to tell you that all of you are making a difference. All of you, if you're working with technology for democracy or community engagement, it's resourcing people like me who, you know, maybe I'm just optimistic, but I've been in this business for 15 years, working across Australia, New Zealand and Canada in open government, in digital democracy, in community engagement, and I've got to tell you, we've got to ignore the news. It's going on. All of this is happening. Cambridge Analytica is not a new thing. Governments have had tools, political parties have had tools to utilise to game democracy. In fact, democracy's been gamed for eons. What we have now as a range of tools available to us to potentially institutionalise democracy within government organisations. So that's getting them set up to be listening, to be more representative between elections. And if you're doing community engagement and you're using technology for democracy, you've got the tools in your hands to resource your government to be able to do that. So you can make a difference to democracy. This is typically what I've been doing for the last 15 years. I've been helping governments listen, understand, and in the past, consider community. I'm now really focused on this last point here as well. How can government engage with and collaborate with community? How can we leverage the desire of citizens to participate in community, not just governance? People have time, money, and a desire to contribute. There are a lot of people in our community who want to make a difference, who are scared, like I am, about democracy and want to actually do things for other people. So maybe like a park bench. I'm sure you meet these people all the time. It's about leveraging that desire to contribute. So I'm now doing a lot more work with the technologies for democracy, for government, for community engagement, to help set them up to not just engage online, but to actually do something with the information that they're collecting from citizens, and also to build longer relationships with their stakeholders in their community. So I look a little bit at the architecture for democracy within government agencies, but also the culture within a government agency, and I also build capability of individuals within organisations to go out and do community engagement in a way that's actually a bit more fun, hopefully, for people, but also makes people feel valued and like they are contributing to something. But I am getting to use some cool, shiny tools and doing some innovative techniques. I tease myself when I use that word innovative, because really we're just picking up the tools and resources that are available to us and leveraging them. But I will show you a couple of the things that we've been doing, both to get people engaged online, but also to try to make those engagement processes more representative and make sure government is valuing the data that they're collecting from these citizens and leveraging their desire to participate. And it's really important, I would say, that government do that, not just because I think it's important and philosophically it's important, but because citizens are actually really well resourced these days as well, and they know how to use the tools. So I said democracy's being gamed, everyone's gaming it. Everyone, political parties, for campaigning. Look, I could name so many different examples, but so are citizens, and we know that corporations have been doing it for a long time, but citizens are too. This group here, the Better Planning Network, they downloaded every submission on the strategy for Sydney, the urban planning strategy for Sydney, and they analysed how much the government had listened to them. This group here, the net neutrality bill in the US, 5 million submissions to the US government on the net neutrality bill. Again, they downloaded them and they uploaded them into the BigQuery database system, and were able to determine how much government listened and how they addressed very specific issues. So we've got to help government pick the right tools for the right purpose and set themselves up to listen and be able to demonstrate that they are listening and leveraging that desire to participate. This is probably the best resource that I've been able to develop in my career to help government agencies understand their purpose for engagement and match that purpose to a technology. We use a different language in the tech space. I mean, I'm not even that techie, to be honest. I'm a social scientist. So I've had to learn about things like crowdsourcing, prioritizing, the visual 3D modeling and visualization, and how to use these kinds of products. But I've also had to learn about this type of stuff here, which is information management, issues management, data analytics, and relationship management. And what I usually do with this slide when I'm working with a government agency is I help them pick where they are on the spectrum, either in their project or in terms of how much influence the community can have on the project overall. So if it's an urban planning project, typically you've got some opportunity over here to crowdsource ideas, but eventually you're going to need a plan, some sort of a plan. And you'll need to consult community about maybe some options or a specific proposed plan. If you're doing a project where there's an opportunity for stakeholders to help you deliver services and programs in your community, you might be working at this end of the spectrum. But at the end of the day, you've got to have this stuff in order within your organisation as well to be able to leverage that desire for people to participate. Here's some examples of why it's important and how innovation is helping. The earthquake in Christchurch was really significant. A lot of people died. It still looks like a war zone. When I see pictures of Syria and I go to Christchurch, they look the same to me. It's really sad, and it's 8 years since. There was 106,000 responses on sticky notes, but also on a digital platform for engagement. Fantastic. Percentage of the population participating. You know, if you were measuring the success of your engagement, you would say that this was hugely successful because you got most people in the community participating. But government weren't ready to analyse all that data. They didn't have any systems in place. There was nothing behind this tool that allowed them to do the analysis. They had to spend 100,000 Australian dollars, sorry, I don't know the conversion, analysing this data, bringing in staff to analyse this data. So they're now getting a much more prepared to listen beyond just a single consultation. Map-based engagement is huge in Australia at the moment. This is it's a really popular tool. Again, you can get people crowdsourcing ideas for what needs to be done in particular areas. This is about bike paths. This one was contributing to urban plans across New South Wales. Again, great rates of participation, but not well organised to analyse the data. So be really careful about that, because you might have 200 people participating and providing 10,000 responses. Is that successful? Are you doing a representative engagement? So I've emphasised this point a few times, but really, at the end of the day, if citizens are going to feel listened to, and we're going to be able to measure how representative our democracy is between elections, we need to be able to collect data from all the different methods that citizens are participating in, online and offline, and to be able to report that back to the decision makers and to show that line of sight to the people who participated so they know that their contribution was worthwhile. Fortunately, governments are getting a little bit smarter about this. They are thinking about the digital architecture for engagement, and they are thinking about the cultural piece, so how organised are we internally to be able to listen, and also what capability have we got to be able to go out and do this. This is an example of 2 state governments in Australia who now have a home, like the Estonian government spoke about their e-consultation hub. This is similar to an e-consultation hub, except citizens can register and they can tell the government what they're interested in, so the government will proactively engage with them beyond just that single consultation. So they'll know that they're being listened to and that the government are proactively inviting them to participate, which hopefully will increase how valued they feel in the process. Behind all of this is some analytics. It's still very basic. The Australian government, here's something innovative for you, the Australian government has invested $2 million in digitally enabled community engagement. $1 million towards artificial intelligence for the analysis of data collected through engagement, and $1 million to actually build a digital platform that helps people pick the right tools for engagement, technologies but also methodologies, and then to get organised for that engagement internally. They're both private companies who are now testing their products with government agencies. The other thing government are doing are they're actually starting to use big data. So the Cambridge Analytica thing, yeah? I said the public are using the tools to game democracy. Well, and so are politicians. But governments can use these tools too. They can use them to profile their community, to understand the issues that the community are interested in, and also to make sure that they're reaching a representative sample of their community when they're actually going out and doing that engagement. And when you get more organised with your analytics and your understanding of your community, then you can actually target your methods to go and proactively reach those people who aren't currently engaged, which will increase how representative your engagement is. I don't have a clock here, so hopefully I'm on time, and I really want to make sure we've got time for questions. I'm getting pretty close to the end, so I just wanted to follow up on what I said at the start, which is I'm focused a lot more now on the doing. How do we encourage people who want to do something for their community, not just provide their input into a plan or the way that their community is organised and governed, but actually they want to contribute, they want to do something. And I think that's the more that we as government start to encourage that, the more people will want to participate in conversations about how we plan our future, how we plan our community. And here are some of my favourite models to encourage people to participate in community. And they require a different degree of enablement from government, a different degree of investment from government. This model over here is about activating an already engaged public. So it's participatory democracy, but it's actually, the argument with participatory democracy is that you only reach those people who want to participate. But there are people who want to participate. They have something to contribute. This engages those people. They're really enthusiastic with something to contribute. It's called Change Camp. I'm happy to tell you more about it if we've got time at the end. But the point is, this approach is about activating an already engaged citizen to self-organise, to deliver change in the community. So government don't need to do a huge amount of facilitating, which is what they would do in this model. In this model, they facilitate the community's involvement in the vision, and then the community walk away with some activities, and they help that community to deliver those activities. In this model, it's much more about coordinating activities in community. It's much more resource intensive, but it's actually very focused on working with multiple stakeholders to deliver outcomes in community. I joked with my friend Nicholas about this slide a little bit before I put it into my presentation. We are the superheroes of democracy. It's really, I don't care that I'm a total dag about this. I have a Wonder Woman costume that I wear sometimes. You have to own this, guys. We are making a difference to democracy. This is about representative government. You can make your organisation smarter and more representative if you're honestly fucking brave. I told you Australians didn't have good manners. This is our chance. You are the chance. You are the people that the world is waiting for. And you're not alone. There's people all around the world who are embracing their power and what they have to contribute. And I'm not going to lie, it's hard sometimes. We are fighting institutional barriers. Elected officials don't necessarily want to have their power diluted. But at the end of the day, institutionalising these kinds of processes will have much more of a lasting effect on democracy than a 3-year or 4-year term in politics. That's my opinion. I'm here. I've got my indestructible bracelets on. Who's got questions?